Welcome to SIG testing, 4th of April, 2023. We have an agenda today, which is fairly short, looks good. We will get the link to the agenda into the chat room here, so take a look if you have any questions. First topic today is welcoming of new members. I do see a few names in the chat in the screen here that I don't recognize. New members. We need some new folks. I'll try to show you a few things that make joining the team fun today because the agenda is kind of short. In the meantime, it might be great for a couple of you to jump on screen and say hello to everybody. Any newcomers around here who want to say hello? Well, I don't hear any answers on that. I could be wrong about the newcomers.
Yeah, maybe you thought I'm a newcomer, but no, yeah.
Say something,
I
Amir.
have I have attended to most of the meeting recently, so I'm not a newcomer. Maybe you thought I am.
Well, actually, big topic today. Brian is a new chair for us, and myself and Aaron will be stepping down, so that may have something to do with it.
That's true. I'm a newcomer to the chair role. I don't think it's been published yet, but it's been discussed plenty. And I'm very glad to see that Michelle is sticking around and that Benjamin's going to remain on the project in various aspects. I would feel lost without some of the good leadership we have here. All right, Amir, it doesn't sound like you are actually a new person, but I'm going to wait a few minutes, see if anybody else shows up and discuss fun newcomer topics. So we'll move on to open discussion, which we just began with chair updates. Brian McQueen here. I work at LinkedIn. I'm the new chair of this, one of the chairs of working with Michelle, and I think Brady Pratt is probably one of them too. And I find that subject to be not awesome and interesting, so I'll just move on by. We have an issue here which looks really interesting, and I hope somebody will talk about it because it also doesn't sound simple. Set up periodic scalability CI tests on AWS. That sounds like a really fun project. Does anybody here know what's going on with this one? I thought so. You're muted. Good.
I think this one might actually be, I think this might be bumped off our agenda actually, and we might just have the chair update. There was a pretty lively conversation in SIG Scalability end of last week. Their meetings are Thursday, the other week from us. So we met pretty recently to discuss this. And there were some representatives from Kate's Infra and testing to help discuss that. So I think we have a path forward. I'm not sure they had any further questions. This is probably just a lingering agenda item from before that meeting happened.
All right, that's fine. And if we run out of material, we'll just shut it down and folks can go join SIG Node, which is always interesting. But let me take a look at the agenda because there is something else I want to go over with y'all. Note taker, you're going to indicate that yeah, thank you. Next on the agenda is talk to the newcomers. I wanted to tell you something that happened the other day, which was kind of cool. I will share the screen. First, I'll talk for a minute, which is that I was returning to my hobby of trying to make tests that are red look green. So I went over to the test grid this weekend. I'm going to put a link, but in fact, you can see it if you go to the top of the chat room, SIG Testing, the real Slack channel. There are some links up there at the top, one of which is test grid. So I went clicking around in the test grid on Sunday. And we'll see how well sharing works. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I'll just talk my way through it. I was looking for a particular flaky test. And when I clicked on test grid, I saw a large number of things, a vast swath of the test grid had turned red. Of course, that gives me a heart attack and makes it really hard to figure out what I'm trying to debug at the moment. I'm going to try to share the screen right now. And this is kind of fun for the purposes of newcomers because I want to tell you how this worked out. I looked at this thing, it's supposed to be all green like this, and I was expecting to find a little something that was a flaky test, sporadic reds. But here's what I spotted. And if you click over to this one here, by the way, you're looking at the test grid here, which the links are in the Slack channel. This channel was vastly red, this particular tab, very scary looking. I did my best to gather some data. I'll even show you very briefly about a couple of things you can do to gather data when you're looking at test failures. I went clicking through on some of these things that take you to some of the other familiar test exploration tools. Clicking through, you get to details here that show you test failure data. Very useful stuff. There were a ton of C group related error messages down here in this chunk of code, this chunk of the log files. I won't get into advanced debugging. I just wanted to show you that with this button up here, job history, you can click over here and start seeing, oh, this is what it looked like right about here. It had turned red. It was all green before. So it's very clear that something broke at that time. You can click into artifacts and look at the very detailed, the dumps from the various machinery of the Kubernetes cluster, like the API servers and the various nodes and kubelet and things of that sort. I did a little bit of digging around in here, and I went over to the Slack channel for SIG testing, said basically, oh my God, what's the matter? Everything's broken. You know, of course, I tried to sound very professional about it. And very quickly, somebody came in the channel who had a pretty good idea what had happened already and was working on rollback. And this was like Sunday morning, I think. Within half an hour or something, we had the usual suspects were in there who know exactly what they're doing. And we had it to the point where I could relax. And by the next morning, I looked in and everything had turned green again, just like you saw in that other tab here. It turned green again. And it was educational to see the PRs they put up in order to fix this problem. So get involved in this. These are the tools that you're going to want to look at for debugging, and listen to the triaging of tickets, which usually happens in a different meeting called SIG-Node CI. You can get involved there to figure out which tests are flaky and figure out debugging tips from the other folks. So I think I will stop. I just wanted to give you a little intro to the tooling there.
Can I ask one more question, Brian? If you can screen share again, and then we can live see if this one works. But
there's
if you click and drag between the passing and failing column, does that give the menu option for comparing commits? This is set up on some tabs correctly. I'm not sure if all of them do.
I was looking for that. I remembered seeing it before. I could not see it this weekend.
Okay, that's
You
fine.
actually wanted to see it over on this side, like when it broke.
Yeah, that's usually the more useful.
Michelle, don't you have to like alt click?
It's
right-click or
usually,
something?
I think it's a normal click, but it's possible that this is one of the things where I think we're going to like fix this up in the new UI because it's also not accessible to only have a click drag option. But that's good to know, and I will take a look. So normally there's supposed to be an ability to take a look between the like two columns and then be able to see what commits were changed in the meanwhile, which is also useful for debugging.
There's build numbers up here and test tool. Go, Ben.
This is working for me, but the link doesn't appear to be good. I think it has the wrong commit info.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is like sometimes that is set up correctly on some dashboards and some dashboards do not have it set up correctly. So
it is also it is difficult to find that you have to like click and hold and drag.
Yeah, that I'm trying to keep accessibility in mind for like the next version we do of this. So 100%, this is one of those things on that list.
And for the curious, that's Michelle, who knows a lot about the test grid here. That's understating the subject a little bit. All right, I'm going to stop sharing again and have a quick peek at the agenda. We might just be done. Talk to newcomers, Slack archives. Remember to take a look at the top of SIG testing for links to those tools like the test grid. And there's another meeting, SIG Node CI, where tickets are triaged, including flaky tests and things of that sort. You can hear about that in the SIG Node channel. That really looks like about it for the meeting today, and I don't see any reason to carry on with it. I think we should jump over to SIG Node and see what's happening over there. Benjamin's got an update in the channel here.
I just want to leave a note that the dragging is working for that job. It's there was no code change in Kubernetes during that window, so you get an empty diff.
That's right. It's continuity or testing.
Yeah, because the problem was in the test config. So it got fixed in another repo, and we're not recording that because this is a legacy job that uses the bootstrap scripts and doesn't log the test info version.
I see no pending questions and everything looks okay. I say it's time to adjourn the meeting. Somebody second my motion, please.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Sounds
See
good.
y'all next time.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Brian.
Bye.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everyone.